Okay. All right, we got the 60-minute man, the longest reigning Giants YouTuber on the planet, Copizzle, hanging out with us. We're going to get this bitch started in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Get over here! Hi, I'm martial art master Daniel Pacino. You know me as the original Johnny Cage, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Reptile, and Smoke. You are tuning in to NerdCage Live on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Don't miss an episode or you'll get caged. So let's finish him.
This is Anthony Marquez, better known as Kung Lao for Mortal Kombat. Make sure to like and subscribe to NerdCage Live. Be there. Us.
Hey everybody, this is Dave Niebor from Dog Eat Dog, and you're watching NerdCage Live. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel. These are great guys doing what they love to do.
Hi, I'm Leah Montalongo, the OG Sindel. Please like, subscribe to NerdCage Live.
This is Ernie C. from Body Count. You're tuned into NerdCage. Can you like and subscribe?
NerdCage Live and gaming are a perfect match.
Shoot the J, Joe. Okay. Shoot it!
All right!
Over on NerdCage Live on Twitch, Jay and Joe go live.
Call me Bazooka Joe. It's all about you.
Kaboom! Playing both old school and new school games every Tuesday night. Ooh, what a sight!
Jay, stop looking at her face and run.
But she's so beautiful!
So be sure to follow NerdCage Live on Twitch.
Run for your life, Joe. Run for your life, Joe.
Running!
Run faster! Oh no, Joe! The galaxy's doomed because of you!
To scratch your gaming itch.
Oh, nice kick, Joe.
Thank you.
Yo, that's diabolical. Wait. Yo!
That's twitch.tv/NerdCage Live.
Hey guys, it's the original Shao Kahn, Brian Glenn, and I'd like you to subscribe to NerdCage Live.
Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Doc Coyle, the man from Bad Wolves and God Forbid. I want to let you know right now, please subscribe to NerdCage Live.
Greetings, imagination connoisseurs. This is Robert Meyer Burnett, and I'm telling you to go get in the cage, the NerdCage Live. And you watch, you like, you subscribe.
And you come back and you hear some cogent discourse about all things nerdy.
NerdCage Live, do it.
Hi, my name's Kev Bayliss, designer or...
If what you say is true, the Shaolin
and the NerdCage
could be dangerous.
Greetings, citizens. You're now trapped in a NerdCage. We hope you have a smashing good time.
All right, before we get started, again, it's going to be the last time I do this. Just want a big shout out to Big George Foreman. Please rest in peace. He was one of a kind, as well as Val Kilmer. Underrated Batman, terrific actor. Rest in peace. Two big icons. Let's talk about that real quick. Until then, you're now about to witness the strength of Geek Now to Learn. Welcome. That's right. Once again, you are trapped in Nerd Cage Live. This channel is a celebration of all things pop culture. So if you are new, please hit that like button, share, and subscribe with everybody you know. I'm your co-host, Jay St. G, certified geek, 7 days a week, coming to you live from yours truly, the land of the orange of Syracuse, New York. And our moderator and trollhammer, Joe, FallenOne Gaming, is not here today. He's out saving the world, but I see you in the chat, Joe. But today, I would like to welcome one of the OG YouTubers, not just an OG Giants YouTuber, an OG YouTuber. He's known as the 60-Minute Man, longest reigning Giants channel in the game. Ladies and gentlemen of NerdCage Nation, please welcome Copizzle to the cage. How are you, sir?
What's going on? I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. We're really thrilled to have you, man. You're a big loudmouth just like me, and I think we're going to get along just fine. If you're in the chat, everybody, don't be shy. If you have questions for any of us, we got so much stuff to talk about. Sports, entertainment. We got to talk a little Giants, obviously. We'll save that towards the end of the show. But for starters, if you haven't already, please get yourself a NerdCage Live t-shirt. Any size, any color. Whether if you're a skinny booty call or a fat fuck. Big or small, we love them all. The link to our TeePublic is in the description of this live stream, in this video, and across the vast lands of social media. And speaking of social media, give us a follow on X and Instagram at nerd_cage. Join our Facebook discussion group that's called NerdCage Nation. Just keep it civil. And of course, we have a Discord server. Hop on there, hang out with us. We love connecting with you guys. But again, the best way to support us is to buy a goddamn t-shirt. Again, you know, we could use some human billboards, and again, you look good doing it too. So, again, pick up yourself a NerdCage Live t-shirt. The TeePublic is description in the video here. And of course, we'll be on Twitch next week. We'll be playing Shenmue on twitch.tv/NerdCage Live Tuesday night. Wednesday night, we'll be playing Silent Hill 2 Remake on Twitch. And of course, hop over to Joe Blow Celebrity Interviews and check out my interview with Bill Murray and Naomi Watts for the movie The Friend. Check that out. And of course, check out our Knuckles G Fuel Energy Drink food review. Okay, enough of my bullshit. We got Copizzle here. So for starters, man, again, the old internet, the early days of YouTube, before Google took over, back when Newgrounds was doing its thing, back when, you know, dial-up was still kind of like at the tail end, you know, and video streaming was just like in the early days. So please tell me, how did you get mixed up into this YouTube game, and how did you start your New York Giants empire, man? Just floor is yours, man. We just love to hear your background, man. For those who don't know you.
So I actually created a YouTube in 2006. I created my particular YouTube channel, Copizzle, in 2006. The funny thing is, you know, I don't know if I've really said this on my channel, but I don't know if I would call myself Copizzle like now. You know, at the time I was, you know, 20 years old. You know, it's something my friends had called me at the time, and so, you know, you just create a profile.
Yeah, I was going to say. So was that like your college nickname, or was that just all your friends call you that?
It was a play on my last name.
Yeah.
And so at the time, super big. And she still is big, you know, but
yeah,
you know, so that he was really like pop culturally, you know, big. And so they'd call me that, you know, just as you know, something funny. And it became my gamer tag. It became my YouTube. I mean, it became everything, you know. So Copizzle was literally born in that capacity. And so I just created a YouTube channel, and you know, at the time I was in college and I wanted to be a sports broadcaster. You know, I wanted to get broadcasting. I later realized that I didn't like the sports broadcasting as much as I did like being a radio DJ. Like I really enjoyed that a little bit more. I enjoyed radio stuff more than I did TV stuff. You know, taking college courses that I was taking. And, you know, one of the things that I struggled with in class was the fact of being on camera. It was weird to me, you know. It's kind of one of those things where you're a little bit camera shy. You know, it's not that you have stage fright, but you know, it's like you get in front of a class and you start talking to everybody, and it's kind of, you're a little bit nervous. And then, but that was kind of the way of when I would get on camera, you know. And so one of the ways that I tried to help myself or try to teach myself was I felt like YouTube was a platform that I could help me, you know. And what's funny is I didn't know what to talk about. I had no idea what I wanted to talk about. You know, so we'll create a YouTube channel, but I have no idea what I wanted to talk about. And honestly, no joke, it's so funny. I first was going to make like music videos, but I was going to pretend like I was singing them. You know, that sounds really weird, but I was just kind of thinking.
And this is before TikTok.
This was yes, no, seriously. Like I was gonna do like this little like, no joke. Like I was gonna try like, you know that song like, "You've Lost That Lovin' Feeling."
Yeah.
No, you know. So I was gonna do that one. Like it was just something to be funny, you know. Like you make a video, you put it on the suit, just a little rib. Well, I ended up not doing that, thank God. And I found a couple guys. I was on YouTube for a year, and just watching content. And at the time, I loved YouTube during that time period because it was the Wild West. It was a fun place to be because you had all these creative people making like skit videos, like, and they were just having fun. Like it's almost like homemade videos kind of thing.
Yeah.
Nowadays, like YouTube is so professional, right? Everybody is so professional. Everybody kind of follows this whole like, you know, pro style of content creating, right? Even like your top guys, you know, every clip that you see is no more than 3 seconds. Like just it's in and out. So, you know, then obviously you have streaming now and stuff like that of like what we're doing right here. You didn't have that back in the day. But in the season of 2007, it was week 6, 2007. A few weeks prior to that, I had found a couple of guys who were making Dallas Cowboys content and Philadelphia Eagles content.
Yeah.
And so it's like a light bulb went off in my head. I said, why don't I just talk about the Giants? So I had an Xbox camera, 360. I didn't even have a 360, but I had the camera.
Yeah.
I had a broken down headset that I don't know how in the world, like it was like halfway, like it was broken from throwing it and stuff like that. I had made content, but before I uploaded, I realized like, oh shit, like I'm not looking at the camera when I'm like, it looked really weird that I wasn't looking at the camera. So that's why I said, I'm going to put on sunglasses. And because when you put on sunglasses, you can look anywhere, but it seems like you're actually looking at the camera every time you look anywhere. So what was funny was people kind of thought like, oh, well, you know, he's got bug eyes or something's wrong with his eyes. That's why he won't show them. But it was really just, I still was camera shy. And that was the reason why I joined YouTube in the first place, was because I was just trying to improve being on camera. And so what I found making my content, and it was thanks to the Giants, like I just found my confidence.
Yeah.
You know, of being able to talk.
Yeah, we were great at that time.
Yeah. Well, we were great. And so what's funny is the Giants went on to win the Super Bowl that year.
Yep.
And so I joined.
I'll never forget. I will never forget.
I joined YouTube literally the year the Giants won the Super Bowl, and like looking back, I should have just went off in the sunset. I could have been this mythology,
a legend.
Like a legend who just showed up on YouTube and said the Giants were going to do it, and then just poof, they do it, and then I'm out of here. And so yeah, it would have been like, but I just I started to really love being on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
It became something that I really enjoyed, and it honestly helped me build my confidence as a young man. To just talk to people in everyday society, and so I finished up college, and I was able to get in front of a class and showcase what I learned about myself and what YouTube had helped me with, and I've made so many. What I ended up finding was I never had giant friends growing up as a kid.
Well, yeah, because you're obviously not in New York, so.
I'm from Tennessee, and I became a Giants fan in the early 90s, and I never had Giants friends, and so what I ended up finding was Giant friends, people that had common interests as me. What I would do before YouTube was I was on the Giants message boards. I was on message boards reading stuff and typing stuff, and so Copizzle's always been there, but he's never been making content. And so what I found was people that had common interest in me and things that I loved, and it was, man, I'll never forget making a video and getting 10 views and thinking like, oh man, this is so cool.
Yeah.
10 people watched me do this video, and I made terrible videos. I mean, I was in a little college house. I had terrible equipment. I was playing a character, and I was winging it, right? And there was what's funny today is there's so many examples that a person can look at and say, I want to be like this person.
Yeah.
Like I see this guy's content and I want to try to duplicate it. I want to try to mimic it. In 2006, 2007, there was no examples. You like whatever you were creating was something you were creating for the first time that nobody had ever seen.
It was basically just a vlog network is what YouTube was at the time. By the way, the New York Revival's in the chat. I don't know if that's Eli or Hefe, but he says, is New York Revival officially 60-minute men?
I have become, I don't know if they would say this, but I've become friends with the New York Revival. I'm not so critical of those guys anymore, and so
they do good stuff. I'm really proud. They've come a long way, and
they've come a long way.
Yeah.
I have nothing bad to say about New York Revival anymore. I'm sure those days are still to come, but
we all see the thing is, as Giants, you gotta say us New Yorkers, we're hard nosed. We have opinions. We all have opinions.
To finish what I was saying was, it was really difficult during that time period to jump on. There was you gotta have a lot of courage to put yourself out there and talk about something like, just putting yourself out there to the whole internet was weird at that time. Now it's easy. Like anybody can jump on the internet because everybody's on the internet. Everybody's, whether it's TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, whatever. And so like, it's just a lot easier. What I try to get out there is like, there's a lot of people that's kind of come before you and has given you the ability to have this safe landing spot, and also built the audience. Like there's an audience been built here because of others that you get to benefit from. And that's great. That's fine. As long as you appreciate those that have come before you, because during those early years, man, it was tough to get viewership because there was nothing cool about YouTube during that time. It was literally the Wild West. And so now everybody's got YouTube. Hell, I mean, YouTube is basically
the pandemic changed the world and the internet.
Oh yeah. Well, I think it was even starting before then, but the pandemic definitely, I mean, it's just, if you look at Blockbuster was a big thing. Now it's Netflix, right? And so it's everything's changed and evolved over the years. And so, for me, I just go back to that time period and just, man, how do I want to do this? Like there was just nobody I could copy. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't easy. So you make a character, you try to do your best, and you just hope somebody likes it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I'll never forget. I'll never forget. I I was making content, and I was having, I was shit talking, and I was having fun because the Giants were good, and so I was having fun with it. And then somebody had made a comment on one of my videos, said, "Oh, he's got web hands. That means he's incest." And I just, I spent the whole night like just staring at my hands and thinking like, "Holy shit, is he right?" Like just,
Well, it's just wild.
I had never experienced that before because the internet was a different time. It was a different thing, and it's crazy to think that because 2007 feels like yesterday. But it is long. It's been long ago, so it's crazy.
Damn near 20 years now. It's 18 years ago.
When we start 2025 season, it's going to be my 19th year making content on YouTube.
That is amazing. That's why I wanted to bring you on, because you got all that experience in all those years. You remember the old days.
I honestly joke that I'm the longest running Giants channel. I mean, even the New York Giants didn't even have a channel on YouTube. Because let me tell you, I would have knew about it because I would have been.
This ride. Longest line.
I like to joke about it, but it's just honestly true. Like, I mean, there was hardly any content out there. There wasn't even like highlights. You know how like you can go on and just search somebody's name and see their highlights, like Eli Manning highlights. There wasn't even that during those days. So it was a completely different, time period. And some days I miss it because I feel like it was a little bit more authentic than today's YouTube is. I think what people lack today is creativity. Like I felt like there was more creativity back then because you were trying to, but now it's almost like the music industry where it's like all these songs have already been created. And so now it's hard to create, and like part of the movie industry, right? It's hard to, instead of making a great movie, you just duplicate, or you have the nostalgia of recreating it, right? And so that's where I feel like YouTube is now, where it's like everything's basically almost been created. It's hard to find something that's new and refreshing.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of people a lot of channels, in my opinion, are just duplicates of others, and so that's where it's like, I hate to see that because I feel like there's still a lot of potential out there. You just got to be able to have that creativity.
Also, Eli Rex says, when I head over to Tennessee, you owe me a drink, cop.
Yeah, I'll get Eli Rex a drink. I'll buy him a drink. I got no
problem with Eli. Shout out to Eli, man. He's such a cool dude. See, I came across Eli before the revival even started, because I used to hop on not so much partake, but I would listen in on the Giants therapy on Twitter when they have like when people go live on Twitter with the audio and whatnot. And Eli always used to host those things, and it was Giants therapy. So I always came on just to, like, when we were losing, we were bad, we had this Giants therapy. We talk about the loss, help get through it, help get through the season. And then I hop on Cush's channel. And then one time, when when he used to do like those call-in shows, I called in, and then Eli was in the chat. And they're like, "Oh, I see Eli." I'm like, "Yo, I listened to you on your Giants therapy on X," and then he hopped on, and that's how we we became acquainted before the revival even started. So it's good. And then we had him on last year, and we had a great time talking, music and movies and stuff.
The thing with Giants content creators today is, the team has been so poor over the last decade, and a lot of people have different opinions on how it
and we're at each other's throats.
And so, and the truth is, I mean, if we were the Kansas City Chiefs, we would all love each other.
Yeah.
But the unfortunate thing is the Giants organization has really let the fan base down. And so we all have our opinions. And look,
strong opinions.
Oh, strong opinions.
We're, like I said, New Yorkers. We're hard-nosed, hard-working people.
And honestly, I respect. I've always admired the New York attitude. As a kid, learning about it, and Daniel Jones was a real hot topic, and that's why I say, like, I feel like as a team and as a fan base, we really should be single for a year, like not have to have that franchise quarterback, so that we're not at each other's. Because if you draft a Shedeur Sanders, for example, like you're going to go right back to that Some people like him, some people don't. And then
I'm just gonna say, I'm speaking into existence. We're not getting him at 3.
I don't think
I'm not saying we're not gonna get him. I don't think we're gonna pick him at 3. I think he's gonna fall. He's gonna fall, and if he's there, like, I'm just gonna say, figuratively, if he's there like 15, 16, 17, I wouldn't be surprised if we trade out of the second round into the back of the first to get. We're not drafting him at 3. If we draft a quarterback at 3, I'm gonna be pissed.
Well, the point I'm making, whether they do or they don't, I think it would be healthy, you know, for the Giants fan base to not have to have that battle, to have that fight, right? Because the quarterback position is such an important position. We all like what we like. Look, I wish Eli Manning could have stayed the quarterback forever, right? I wish that. I mean, I would have. If Eli had taken me to my grave, I'd have been completely content with that. But unfortunately,
I blame Eric Flowers.
Well, my thing is, like, I wish that, you know, I wish we didn't ever have to change. But obviously, players come and go, and it's hard.
Honestly, it wasn't just Eli Manning. I was mad when they let Coughlin walk off the door. I was so mad. I'm from Syracuse, okay? I have a bias. I have a love and a bias. Tom Coughlin's from Syracuse, okay? So you don't know, but he's from Syracuse. In fact, he's in Syracuse right now as we speak. When we let him, I'm like, you can't let a 2-time winning Super Bowl coach walk out the door. It was the worst move. That, I think, was more egregious than moving on from Eli.
I almost, and I don't know if I necessarily believe in curses, but I feel like since we've done, look, the Giants.
Even when Coughlin's teams were bad, we weren't embarrassed. Coughlin never let us get embarrassed, even though when we were losing towards the end of the reign.
There was some, if you remember, Coughlin had some seasons where we didn't start out very well early in the season, but we came on late. And look, I'm not saying that when they let Coughlin go that it wasn't time, but we haven't fixed that.
Yeah.
And we've suffered because of that. And so, you know, and the McAdoo thing, like, that's another one that I'm torn about, because, like, I was so mad at him for benching Eli, and, like, I don't even know if McAdoo, really looking back on it, was really that bad of a coach. You know,
we had a good run his first year. Second year, I don't know what the fuck happened.
The 2016, and then the second year is when it all went to shit. And then, like, we just moved on from him. And, like, I don't know, like, looking back on it, like, I understand, like, it feels like I'm talking about, like, previous trauma, but it's like, you know, it's like, I don't know if those were right moves or not looking back. Like, you know, Joe Judge, that feels right that we moved on, and Pat Shurmur feels right, but, like, looking back, I feel like that Coughlin to McAdoo phase, we really screwed that up.
Yeah.
And we screwed up the end of Eli, you know, and so there's just a lot of things that went wrong there. And so I think the Giants have spent now damn near a decade trying to fix this. And it's just tough. It's a tough fix. And hopefully, you know, this current regime gets it turned around, because, like I said, it is. I've been on YouTube when we've won Super Bowls, 2 of them.
Yeah.
And I've been here when we're the worst team in the league. And it's so much fun to be on here when your team is awesome.
It was winning, yes.
Because, you know, you can shit talk, you can have your you know how hard it is to make my style of content when you're terrible? Like, I mean, my style of content is in your face, you know, very loud mouth.
How about them Giants?
Yeah, I mean, I am letting out my inner soul into these videos.
Yeah.
And look, I've said this 1,000 times. I'll say it again. Like, I've never done drugs a day in my life. I wouldn't know what drugs felt like.
Hey, I'm a straight edge over here, so
I'm straight edge too. But I can tell you that, you know, if there's one drug that I can honestly say that I do have, it's the Giants, because every Sunday in the fall, you know, 5 minutes before kickoff, I'm ready to run through a brick wall, you know, and it's like I get a shot of Big Blue in my veins, and I just become a different person. And so, you know, I genuinely love the Giants. I could never, you know, let them go. I told my wife before I married her, I said, you know, you need to know that I will have loved you longer than I will ever love you. And need to know that. Doesn't mean that they're more important than you, but just know that they come at their very top. You know, they're at the very top of my list of things to do. I'm going to watch them. I'm going to go to games. I'm going to go do things. I'm going to make YouTube like this is it's important to me. So don't try to prevent that from me. And so luckily I married a good woman and she's good with things.
Yes, that's absolutely wonderful. And I always hear her using the camera too. And, you know, baby doll whistle.
She's great.
What was the moment you became a Giants? Because it's crazy because you're from Tennessee, so we don't hear about. So what was like the moment, like the Giants were your team? Like what was that moment?
So my dad was not a Giants fan, but my dad, like all guys in their 30s, you know, my dad was betting on football games. You know, it's you know, but that during that time in the early 90s, late 80s, you know, obviously it was the landscape of betting was a little bit, you know, now everybody's doing it, you know, DraftKings and FanDuel, but my dad really was enamored with Bill Parcells and Lawrence Taylor. You know, he was really, you know, knowing my dad and how his attitude was, like he just loved those guys. And I you know, so we watched the Giants games during that playoff run of Super Bowl 25, and I just thought, and I was 5 years old going to 6, and I just immediately fell in love with the Giants. I just thought that's what you were supposed to do, is root for the Giants. And I'll never forget, my dad took me to a Super Bowl party, Super Bowl 25.
Yeah.
He had all his 30-year-old friends with him. I was the only kid there, and you know, I probably shouldn't have been there, but they were, you know, they were all betting, and they all bet on the Giants, and I just remember watching that game and having so much fun rooting for the Giants. And so, in a lot of ways, I am a bandwagon fan because they won the Super Bowl, and you know, at the time, that was a time period when you only had like one little computer in the house.
Yeah.
You know, like just a little.
But I will give you a pass because even when the Giants, and I remember the bad years after that Super Bowl, you still stuck with the Giants even when they were bad.
So there's more to this story. So
keep going.
I became so interested in the Giants that I wanted to know more. Right,
the
season ended and like they were taken from me. Like I didn't understand. Like they're gone. I didn't understand at that time period seasons ending. Right, I just knew big game happened. That was it. And then like I wanted more. Like, you know, I want more. But they obviously went into the off season. So like I got to this point where I would, you know, I was learning on how to get on a computer as a kid, and so I would when the season came back around, I would watch a ticker, like a little Giants helmet ticker, like they would have like during dial-up days, and like it would show me like so-and-so player 2-yard gain, and then I was playing video games where I was playing the Giants, and that games like Madden really helped me get to know the players, like know who the players were on the teams. And then as I got older, I studied on, I figured out like who these players were, identified with them. I just did my research. I was just really enamored by the New York Football Giants for whatever reason. And of course, when you're a kid, you don't understand the logistics of where New York is. Like, like New York could be next door for all I know. Like, I didn't know that it was always the Northeast. I hadn't learned that yet. And so, but I do remember when I was in middle school, the Titans showed up. I was in 8th grade. The Titans moved from Houston to Tennessee, and that was a really a crossroad moment for me because I loved football, and a lot of my friends were random different teams. Like you'd have Packer fans, and I had 49er fans, and I had a lot of Cowboy fans.
Oh yeah, I was going to say the Cowboys probably.
Cowboys were huge. Were huge, and especially like in Memphis, places like Memphis, there's a huge Cowboys contingency in Memphis. But
oh God, anyways, I would die just
awful.
Saying.
and so when the Titans showed up, I had a real like moment of like, what do I do? You know, what do I start rooting for this new team, or do I stay with the Giants? And I'll never forget like being in my room and having all this Giants merchandise. And just thinking like, I've come this far, and I'm not gonna leave them now. You know? And what was really hard was the Titans went to the Super Bowl that first year when they got here, and they played the Rams, and I just thought like, oh man, maybe I made the wrong decision. Maybe I should have been a tight.
Man, Steve McNair came so close.
Yeah. So close. And
literally 1 yard away. That tackle was everything. Holy shit.
And the following year, the Giants went to the Super Bowl again and played the Ravens. And so I felt like being patient, I got to see the Giants go back to the Super Bowl. And man, I went to, as a kid, when they started doing Madden tournaments, I remember like I would play with the Giants. Nobody would use the Giants. They were using like all the best teams, like the 49ers and Packers and things like that, and Vikings. And I would always use the Giants. And I was always connected to the Giants. They felt like something.
It was meant to be.
Yeah, well, it was. It's funny because you don't know why you're doing things when you're young, and I feel like now, like, not that my life had led to making content on YouTube or anything, but it's like as an older man now, I love making content and meeting people and meeting people that have the same passion that I have for the Giants. And so I have so much fun now making the content and making people laugh and getting comments where, people just say like, oh man, you really brighten up my day and things like that. And so it's like, I feel like a lot of it was meant to be for me to do that. Cause I don't understand how, I don't get it either. Why did I hang around? Why did I keep, I think some of it was, I really liked the fact that nobody else was a fan of the Giants. And I really liked that, and I don't know if I would, how big of a Giants fan I would have been if I would have lived in New Jersey or New York. Maybe I would have been. I don't know, but I think it was just a perfect storm of how things came to be. And Lawrence Taylor, he was like, everybody had their guy, like, you know what I'm saying, like their favorite player. Like everyone was like, oh, Michael Jordan's my favorite player, and everybody was like, oh, Ken Griffey was my, but Lawrence Taylor was mine. That was my guy. And so he just, and of course, the booger sugar and all the stuff that he was doing, I didn't understand all that, but like, do I wish it would have happened? No, but that was my guy. That was who I idolized, and I thought was just, amazing. So I loved Lawrence Taylor, and I loved his style. I loved everything about him. And so that was another part of what's made me a Giants fan and who I am today.
Yeah. My story, it's a lot different from yours, but the thing is, so obviously I'm from Syracuse, so like, we're kind of a mixed bag up here because you have a lot of Bills fans. Unfortunately, I hate the Bills, by the way. I'm like 2 hours from Buffalo, so we got them Bills fans, and we got Giants fans, we got Jets fans. And I hate to say it, and this is all because of Donovan fucking McNabb from Syracuse got drafted by Philly. So now we got Philly fans, and now that Philadelphia's kind of good. So we're a mixed bag here in Syracuse. But if we get closer to Utica, Albany, it's all Giants. Now, my great-grandfather, God rest his soul, I idolized him. He passed away at the age of 91 when I was 12. But my great-grandfather, he grew up in Schenectady, New York, which is right near Albany. And he wasn't a season ticket holder for the Yankees, but he was a regular attendee for Yankees game. He wasn't a season ticket, but he regularly went to Yankees game. He saw Babe Ruth, he saw Mickey Mantle, all of them. So since he was a diehard Yankees guy. But by default, he was also a Giant. Even though baseball was his sport, mine's football, but baseball was his sport. But when it came to football, it was the Giants. When it came to hockey, it was the Rangers. So he was a New York sports fan through and through. My uncles were Giants fans. My two uncles were diehard Giants fans. So like when I was 2, they got me a Giants shirt when I was 2. I still have that photo. So like because of my great-grandfather, because of my uncles, I followed in their footsteps. I was a Giants fan. I was a Yankees fan.
Sure.
Also,
I think that's what's interesting about being a sports fan is we all get to a certain point differently, and I always respect people that, if you're from the location like New Jersey or New York, it's a lot easier for you to get to that point, right? Because you have family and you're close to where they are, and so it is you can identify easier of how you got there. For me, and there's so many others out there that are outside of New York and New Jersey. It's when I went to games in Cincinnati and Nashville or Atlanta, or even Philadelphia, it's so wild to see many, and it's cool. Like it is cool, but like there are Giant fans everywhere. And that's the one thing I've learned about going.
Well, yeah, because the New York market is huge. The media market surrounding New York is huge.
You know what's funny is I like going to home games. I do. I went to the old Giant Stadium, which even though it smelled like piss, I loved it.
Yeah.
I went to MetLife, or I've been to MetLife, but I genuinely love going to road games.
Yep, so do I.
I think it's way harder. It's you've got to fight with the away crowd a little bit, not physically fight, but it's
well, it depends where you go.
It feels like it's too easy at home games. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah,
we're all there and like.
I think I tell people. Here's the thing about New York sports fans. Like, we don't give a fuck if like visitors, like the visiting crowd, we don't fucking care. We've won our Super Bowls. We're not bitter. Like I've been to many Giants. I've been to 5 Giants home games, and it's like, we don't fucking care.
Yeah.
But I've been to Buffalo. I've been to Giants Buffalo in Buffalo. I've been to Giants Philly in Philly, and it's like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck's wrong with you people? Like, so I'm just saying, it's just weird because I tell my roommate's a Packers fan. I'm like, hey, if I take you to a Giants game with the Packers, don't worry, you'll be fine. Nobody cares in New York. No one fucking cares. But these other teams, they take it so fucking personal. Like, Jesus Christ.
I will say this. I mean, Giant fans are mean. Like, Giant fans.
We're mean to each other.
That is. I mean, the Eagle fans get a bad, real bad rap, and they're bad too.
Yeah.
But Giant fans are mean. Like, they just are. I mean, so. And look, I mean, I think some of that is the pride and the passion that we have for our team, and there's nothing wrong with that. But Giant fans are, you go to a Giants home game and they win against Cowboys. I mean, they're giving it to Cowboy fans hard, or Eagle fans hard. I've been to those Eagles Giant games, both at home and away. And boy, it's rough. I mean, it's, it is what it is. So, but no, I just, man, it's been a long journey of being a Giants fan, from until now, and I wouldn't change it for nothing. I will say that I feel like the Giants have helped me grow as a human being. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, they've helped me get confidence. They've given me examples of never quitting, never giving up. Just when they're it's weird because they've given me as a fan the greatest thing that I think you can ever give a fan.
Yeah.
And that's to win a Super Bowl against an undefeated team.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the only I don't think that they gave us that gift as a fan base, and I'm so appreciative of that. Like, I hate that we've had such a downturn, and the only thing that they could ever do to top that is go undefeated and win a Super Bowl. Like, but to me, like, what they have given us as a fan base, like, I hate that they suck and that they've been sucking, but like, honestly, like, everything that happens for the rest of my life as a Giants fan is a cherry on top.
Yeah.
I've watched.
It won't be forever. I know it's hard now.
It won't be, but I know there's some young Giant fans that haven't got to.
They haven't experienced it. I get it. Yeah.
And I sympathize with those fans. For me, in my journey, I got to see, the late '80 Giants a little bit. I had to experience some of the '90 Giants. I experienced, the early 2000 Jim Fossil Giants.
Oh boy.
I got to experience all of Eli Manning's career and Tom Coughlin coming back coaching the Giants. I've got to experience multiple Super Bowls, both winning and losing.
Yeah.
And I got this awesome one of beating Brady while he's undefeated. Like, I, as a fan, like, how dare I even complain? Like, honestly, there's some teams that fans base haven't even done shit. Like,
try being a Knicks fan, bro. I'm a Knicks fan. I'm a Knicks fan. That's the only team. It's my only team. I'm waiting for a championship. It's the only team in my arsenal that I have not seen. Yeah, they won back in the 70s, but I'm the same age as you, so like, I'm just waiting for the Knicks to win one, and then my life will be complete because I've seen all my teams win, but the Knicks.
I'm just, as a fan, like, yes, it sucks that we suck, but man, I am just so appreciative of what the Giants have given me as a fan, and I'm so thankful that as a kid I made that decision. You know what I mean? Like I wish I could go to more home games. I wish I could do things, but I got a good life where I'm at. But I just have loved being a Giants fan.
Just like if you chose the Titans, man, you'd still be waiting.
I know. Well, it's so funny because I think so many people that watch my content, they're like, "Oh man, I wish you were a Cowboys fan," or like, "Oh man, I wish you was an Eagles fan." You know, jump off that train, Pizzle, and come join us. You know, and so it's like, yeah. I mean, like, you know, I guess you know it is what it is, but man, I've loved being a Giants fan. I know that they're going to turn it around one day, but it's, man, as far as the other content, like I wish that everybody gets to experience a Super Bowl year because it is a lot of fun to be.
I gotta ask now, and I ask this to every single Giants fan that's come on this channel: which team do you, with all your heart, hate the most? Is it Dallas or Philly or like
Dallas?
Thank you.
Dallas.
I can well, I get it because you're surrounded by Cowboys. And for me, I think the triggering moment was that goddamn dynasty in the 90s. I never got over it. I never got over it. That's why I hate the Cowboys.
I've only cried 2 times from the Giants losing. And the one time, and I mean like bawling out, like really sad crying. I cried in the playoff game against the Niners when the Niners came back and beat us 39-38.
Yeah, that was a hard one to swallow.
I'll never forget Strahan pointing at the scoreboard video of like, hey, you know, we're still winning. And then just that game falling apart. I cried like a baby after that game. And I cried. I remember I believe it was a Monday Night Football game. It could have been a Sunday night game, but I remember Deion Sanders. Oddly enough, here we are. Deion Sanders intercepting a pass, and he started to do his strut at the 50-yard line and carried it all the way to the end zone. You know, that little and I remember crying by the time he got to the end zone, so mad that the Cowboys were going to beat us. Like those mid-90s games, because that's honestly, I don't want to give Cowboy fans credit.
Yeah.
But that put a fire in me that will never go out, of just hating them and then becoming such a fan of the Giants, of support, you know, because like that's your team, and like I can't, and my thing was I can't wait to play the Cowboys again. Like I want to play them again and beat them. And what sucks is like they've owned us the last decade.
Yeah, but they've never done anything. They can't talk their shit. They haven't done anything. Like if we had that team, like it drives me. It's got to be insane to be a Cowboys fan because they have this stacked team. They do nothing with it. It would, and now we see Washington go to a championship game. You see Philly win another Super Bowl. It's got to be hard to be a Dallas fan right now.
I have said that the 07-08 season would not have felt that Super Bowl. I mean, obviously beating the Pats, them being undefeated.
I think beating the Cowboys was sweeter.
Yes, but having that layer is like adding like chocolate syrup on the vanilla.
I think people quickly forget. Yeah, the Patriots were on a roll going undefeated, but all the media was swarming the Cowboys. Romo, T.O., Witten,
Simpson.
Yeah, like that was like everybody was talking about them winning the Super Bowl.
Jessica Simpson was Taylor Swift then.
Yeah,
and Romo, yeah.
And then when Romo threw that pick in the end zone, I screamed. Yeah. I jumped. I was in my apartment. My very first. I was 20.
I remember winning that game, and I'd have to go back and look at my content, but I almost remember.
Nobody picked us.
I know that nobody picked us, but I just wanted to beat the Cowboys.
Yep.
That was my Super Bowl. Like, you know what I mean? Like, taking them out was good enough. Like,
yep.
It was good, and so.
And they swept us too that year.
Yeah, they did. And so winning the Super Bowl, yeah, that was that. I wanted that, but it was like, to me, it was like it does, you know.
Beating the Cowboys felt a little better.
A lot better. Like that was everything. So. No, and it's weird because like I do have respect for Jerry Jones, and the reason
I do not.
The reason why I have respect for him is because I genuinely, honestly feel that if I owned a team, I would act just like him.
Oh, I can't do it. I can't stay.
I feel like I would be so media, like I would be all in the media, and I feel like I want to make decisions, and I think I would be terrible just like him. I honestly, genuinely believe that. So that's why I have respect for him, because I think like shit, that would be me if I had a ton of cash. But luckily I don't have that kind of money to embarrass myself and to do stuff that he does, you know. And so he like, I think he's funny. Like in some ways, like I don't like him because obviously he owns the Cowboys.
Yeah.
But I just think that that's how I would be, and so that's what I have to take ownership on in that, because I don't think I would be like John Mayer. Like John Mayer and the way he acts, like I would not be like him. Like his attitude. And that's not no disrespect to him. Like that's how he is. I just would not be his demeanor or the way he acts.
I love Mr. Mayer, but he's no Wellington.
No, he's not. I mean, honestly, like I think those guys are rolling in their graves, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Like because the way that the Giants were run, you know, even in the mid '90s when we weren't great football teams and we didn't have a great quarterback, whether it was Kent Graham or Danny Cannell or Dave Brown, like we were still somewhat respectable. You know, we would pop up and beat the Denver Broncos when they were undefeated.
Yep.
You know, or some random, like we would always have that random.
Strahan was my guy. That was my guy
like,
growing up.
I loved Strahan going against the Eagles. You know, I'd love those games, and going against John Runyon, and but the Cowboys and Eagles and even Washington, just those rivalries, man, they helped fuel my love for the Giants. You know, rivalries matter.
Yeah.
And so to me, like I just loved, you know, that passion that got built early on in my youth, and man, it's fascinating. I have so many old hats. Like I had someone come visit me just recently that knew I was a Giants fan, and I was showing them like old like LA Gear stuff, like just old starter hats, like not the ones they make today, but like the real legitimate old starter hats that you had back in the day. And so I've just got so much memorabilia and stuff that I've had when I was younger, and it's really cool that I have those things, and it really tells a story of you, like your fan, like who you are, like your sports team says something about you in a lot of ways, you know. So it's to your identity, and so I still love wearing my Giants gear even when they're bad. You know, I get ribbed for it, you know, here and there, but I just tell everybody, like, you know, hey, I got some great memories regardless, you know. So, you know, who's your favorite team? Well, you ain't done shit, you know. So it's like, what are you talking to me for? So, yeah, I mean, I have a good time with it. I love being a Giants fan, even though they haven't been great recently.
Yes. I don't know what I was going to ask you. I think I just mentioned the first Super Bowl run, but the second Super Bowl run, share me that real quick, because that's when YouTube started getting bigger a little bit. So you're talking 4 or 5 years after the first Super Bowl. What was it like making content at that time?
So the funny thing about that time period was the football content. What had happened during that time period was now you had multiple people from different teams starting to show up, and what would happen is you would actually form together and like create like a group.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the group that got created for the Giants was a group called Giants Mafia. Like we were, and a lot of people don't realize this. I don't say this, but I genuinely believe that Bill's Mafia was copied because of Giants Mafia on YouTube.
I kind of make fun of the Bills Mafia because it's like, do you guys even know what a mafia is? That's not what a mafia is, Bills fans. And you guys are too drunk and stupid jumping on tables. Sorry, you understand it. My hate, and I talk to this with Fisk all the time, my hate for Buffalo runs deep, because I'm in upstate New York where it's a mixed bag. Whereas, like I said, the other side of New York, no one knows who the fucking Bills are. Bills are non-existent. But where I live, the Bills have a pretty prominent and very annoying presence here. And what's just so annoying about Bills is like, you guys haven't won yet. Shut the fuck up. And they always do that. Oh, you're not really in New York. I was like, well, you guys are not really in Buffalo. Shut the fuck up. Like, and the Bills have that. I call them the Cowboys fans of the North. because they have that whole yeehaw energy that New Yorkers don't have. So it's just that much more annoying, and every time I hear Bill's Mafia, I'm like, you guys are no mafia. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
So anyway, go on.
We created Giants Mafia because of the New York. I mean, that was the reason why it got created.
Yeah.
There was the CNS, which was Cowboys Nation Syndicate. There was a Cowboys group. There was an Eagles group that would call themselves Philly Heat.
Yeah.
And then there was there was BNG, which was Burgundy and Gold, which was obviously Redskin fans, and the Giant fans. We were Giants Mafia, and so there was actually and what we did was a lot of times we would coordinate together. We'd have like, I don't want to say group chats, but we would have like these little threads that we had that all the content creators, we were like a team almost. So like we would communicate with one another, and that's how we kind of we would help make each other's content that way.
Yeah.
Give each other ideas. And so it was very much like during that time period, a team-oriented thing. Like content creators worked together under one banner, and it was fun. I mean, it was like, oh, so and so, I saw you made a video, and it was good, it was funny, and I said, you kind of said, so it was a team dynamic during that time, because you got to remember at that time, you got the early years of YouTube, people were popping up, and then all of a sudden, there wasn't like this. They're still in that time period, 2010, 2011, the football content still was underground.
Yeah.
YouTube. Now it's very forefront because, there's a lot of people making it now, like all 22 stuff and, highlights and a lot of like podcasts and streams like alike. But it was still like an underground thing of content being made. And the reason I say the Bills Mafia was created because Giants Mafia is because we were we'd gotten kind of big on YouTube. We had made some videos that had kind of went viral, and we had a cool name like Giants Mafia. We had a logo, we had all this and that, and it was a cool thing. And it wasn't hard for somebody to see that. And because it's underground, nobody knows about it. So then all of a sudden somebody takes it and uses it for themselves. Maybe that didn't happen, but it was suspicious to me that Bill's Mafia got created around that same time period.
Yeah.
That we're out here making content, and it just so happens that the team was close to the same state that we were making the content for. And so, once Bill's Mafia kind of took hold, like it kind of, became like this famous thing, it kind of, overshadowed us. So,
yeah,
the groups eventually dissolved, kind of thing. People started doing their own things, but that time period, it was very group oriented. You wouldn't have this you would have a lot of people that were, hey, can I come join your little Giants group kind of thing. And so I don't know if that was necessarily the right way to be, but that was just, again, we were learning how to internet, like we were learning how to YouTube.
Yeah.
And so people wanted to feel like they were somebody, and they wanted, like, they started making content. They would reach out and say, hey, can we join you guys, kind of thing. And so that was what it was kind of like during those kind of days. And I don't necessarily think that was a great way of doing things, but it's just how it was at that time.
Now I gotta ask. Now this is kind of not getting away from the Giants concept per se, but I have to ask you, as someone who's been on YouTube for damn near 20 years, when was that moment you kind of saw that shift in the algorithm, the shift on how YouTube conducts itself, and how did that change the way you put out content?
I'm trying to think when the monetization really started to come into play. I want to say that was about 8-9 years ago. I want to say is when it kind of really flipped. So that would have put you about 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
Somewhere around that. Like that was when, to me, things started to really change on YouTube. To me, and honestly, I think it was that people started taking YouTube seriously.
Yeah.
Like organizations were now creating YouTube channels, like the Giants were like, there was teams were actually making YouTube channels and putting content on there, and that's just what to me is when I think about 10 years ago, 8, 9, 10 years ago, I think people started taking YouTube more serious as a way to make money, as a way to do things, from their home. And obviously COVID was another, big boom. But I actually think right before that time period, there was a few years there before COVID that YouTube had started to make a switch, and they started to really care about what you put on your content, right?
Yeah.
They didn't want to have you cussing. They didn't want you to have these. They wanted you to be careful about what you put out there and things like that. They worried about those. And so, that was part of it. Because again, like 2007, 2008, you could put anything on YouTube.
Yeah.
Much. I mean, everything was open game, And so,
hell, even porn kind of snuck its way into YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing the thing that I really miss about YouTube, or the old days, it used to be if you made a video.
Yeah.
And I wanted to respond to it.
Response videos, yeah. RE:.
Yeah, I could have a response video, but here's the catch to it. Your video would be there, and underneath your video would be response videos.
Yeah.
So it's like if you made something, I could respond to that, and people that watched your video could say like, "Oh, so and so responded to it. Let me get this." That's what really made the trash talking part of it really fun, was because if Copizzle made a video, and I'm a Cowboys fan, and I want to respond to that, they would respond to that.
You know who I distinctly remember doing response videos, and this was at that time, and obviously you weren't on my radar at the time, but do you know the Archfiend? He's an Eagles. Yeah, he's an Eagles fan.
I do.
Okay, so Archfiend, he's an Eagles fan, but he's a vlogger. He's not just an Eagles content maker. He's some dude from Philadelphia. He does stuff about life, pop culture, sports, movies, whatever. And he also puts out personal videos, but when it was Eagles season, he was an Eagles channel. Anyway, he got really famous at the time where he would respond to the angry video game nerd. And he called his shit out when the AV.
You know who you're talking about.
Yes. Yeah. So when AVGN did the GoFundMe for his new movie, and then he pocketed the money, Archfiend made a video calling him and Mike Matei out, and his channel caught fire because he was doing response videos to Angry Video Game Nerd. I wouldn't say he was leeching off him, but he was responding to him, and that's how.
But that was a quick way for you to grow an audience. Like that was it's like now, and I understand why they probably took it away, and you can still technically tag. Like I made a video today, I tagged your channel in it, and take
I saw it. But, thank you.
There's not a response aspect to it anymore. That's one thing I do miss, because let's say like you brought up New York Revival, like if they made a video that I disagreed with, I could have responded to it, and people would say, well, and so like I'm carrying that conversation with me over my channel, and now I'm and they could have responded back to mine, and then it just keeps going. It's almost like it's a thread of video.
But now that's what Twitter's turned into now.
Yes,
but without the video.
No, but 100%. But that's what's part of what makes Twitter somewhat fun. Is that there's a thread happening of a dialogue, and that's one thing I do miss about YouTube is you don't have that anymore, and so that part of it is lost into what was going on back then. That part was fun, but it was, you would make a video and then somebody would respond to it and you think, well, that was a terrible video, or that was actually a good video, and so it would just depend on what you would get, and people could respond to it if they wanted to.
All right, now I guess I want to keep it one more Giants topic, and then we can shift on to entertainment and other stuff I want to get your opinions on. So, okay, we're both Giants fans here, and we're in a very, I wouldn't say predicament, but we have the draft coming up next week, in 2 weeks. Now, I will just give you my opinion, and then I'll let you respond. I'm actually in agreement with you. I'm in agreement with you, and also I disagree with you. I'm in agreement with you where I say we should not draft a quarterback at 3. I'm not saying don't draft one. I said don't draft one at 3. Where I disagree with you, Abdul Carter is my guy. Now, let me explain. And I know, and I've had this argument with Fisk, and I saw what you said, and you both said the same thing. We invested too much already at the edge. Listen, do you remember Tuck, Strahan, OC, Tuck, OC, JPP? Okay, We can never have enough pass rushers. We need to get back to what I love about being a Giants fan. Defense. The pass rush. That's the one thing I love. Not just because it's New York. There's something about when the Giants' defense is lethal, and you just want to rattle the QB, make the opposing team's QB fear us. They got to circle the scout saying this is the game where we got to get rid of the ball because they're gonna come.
Sure.
I missed the days of the Big Blue Crush, Big Blue Wrecking Crew. We need to get back to that. In my heart of hearts, now I'm not a college football expert, but Penn State runs a really great defense. Look at Micah Parsons. I'm telling you, Abdul Carter is the guy at 3. I'm telling you, I want to keep Kayvon, give him the 5th-year option, tag him a year or 2. We need to get a Kayvon. We need to get Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, and who's that guy we just signed from Dallas? Chauncey. We just signed him from Dallas this offseason. Fuck. He can line up in and out. We got Dexter Lawrence. Yeah. I'm just saying, think of that. We'll have the best defensive line in football if Abdul Carter is what we think he is. I'm telling you, Carter's a guy at 3. I want Abdul Carter at 3 so we can get back to playing real Giants football. And I am perfectly fine getting someone like Jalen Monroe, Kyle McCord from Syracuse, somewhere in the later rounds where we can develop on the back burner. And I say let's keep building that fucking defense, and let's maybe get a couple offensive linemen, maybe one more receiver. But at 3, it's got to be Abdul Carter because I think Cam Ward will go number 1. If Cam Ward falls, great, take him. But I don't think he will. But it's going to be Cam Ward at 1. I think Sanders will go. I think it's going to be ugly, but I think Sanders will go number 2, and it's going to be ugly because I know Deion's going to step in. It's going to be ugly. I don't want Travis Hunter because we just signed a corner. We have Malik Neighbors. Like, yeah, he can play both sides of the ball, but how good can he play both sides of the ball? I don't want Travis Hunter. I won't cry if we get him, but I'd rather not. I want Abdul Carter or that defensive tackle from Michigan. That's who I want. So go ahead, respond. I'm done.
So the name was Chauncey Golston.
Thank you. Yeah.
But I am on the Carter train because I think that Ward and Hunter will be gone. And so Carter is the next man up. I personally would rather have Travis Hunter, but I think that the Browns are going to take him. That's my guess at this point. And so I don't think, if you want to call that a plan B or plan C, whatever you want to call that, I don't think it's a bad option. And I agree with you. Like, I think that my issue is that we've invested a lot into that. I think Kayvon, if you wanted to create some type of NASCAR package, I think Kayvon can play inside, and you keep Burns and Carter on the outside.
Yeah.
And then you've got Dexter in there, you've got Kayvon in there, you've got Carter, you've got Burns, you got a NASCAR package all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And we can have some fun with that. You're right. And I'm in agreement with, and you got Chauncey here as well. You can never have enough pass rushers.
Exactly. Look what Philadelphia is doing.
I'm not against that. And I'll say this too. If nothing else, have one of your units, whether it's the offensive side or defense, have a monster unit.
Yeah.
And if Carter if Carter puts the finishing touches on that unit and because look, they've put a lot of work into their secondary in the free agency.
Yeah.
I like what they've done. The defense should theoretically, if you add Carter, should be better. So
yeah.
I think that there's some possibilities there. At the same time, the reason why I'm intrigued by Hunter is because of the fact that there is a Swiss Army knife factor to him.
Yeah, but how good will he play on both sides like that?
I think where I'm at is that we just got embarrassed by losing Saquon.
Yeah.
Okay. As Giant fans, we were embarrassed.
Oh yeah, it was. I'm still not over it.
I think there is some mentalness. I think getting Hunter, if you could get him, I think that adds, having a dynamic player takes some of the stain away from losing Saquon, because if Travis can come in there and create those exciting plays, then all of a sudden now you don't think about missing out on a dynamic player like Saquon. Does that make sense? Like all of a sudden now you have a superstar again that you just left the building, and now you have another superstar, and now you pair him with gives you a one receiver that a lot of teams have. The Bengals have that, the Vikings have that, the Eagles have that.
Yeah.
We don't have. I love Darius Slayton, but Darius Slayton isn't a Batman. He's a Robin. Like there's no question about that. And he would benefit as well from having someone like Hunter. And then you add the aspect of like, well, could Hunter play some cornerback here and there and bolster up that? Look, Banks wasn't good last year, and so they've obviously bolstered up.
I'm not giving up on Banks. I just don't think Banks is the number one. Yeah.
I'm not giving up on him either. But my point being is like Hunter gives you multiple options to fix potentially multiple things. Carter, I agree with. I think Carter's ceiling is still up there. I think he can still be at. But look, the Browns could take Carter too. Like I think Hunter's going to end up being the guy for them, but they could take him, and then Hunter falls in our lap. So, excuse me. I don't think the quarterback's being taken. I've pretty much.
Here's what I keep telling people: if we were trying like hell to get Matt Stafford, that was all the proof I needed. Like if we were really sold on Sanders, we wouldn't even thought of exploring the idea of bringing in Matt Stafford.
I'll go one better with you. I don't think they get both Winston or Wilson.
Well, Winston, to me,
I think getting one of them makes sense. Whether Winston or Wilson, but to me, getting both of them tells me that you're not going to get one at 3. Now that doesn't mean you won't get a quarterback at some point. Look, I think the Jalen Milroe thing is starting to build some steam. That one
I can live with that. Like I can live with that.
I'm gonna make a video about that because the problem with Milroe is, you can't compare him to Jalen Hurts because I don't think he's Jalen Hurts, but
but if he sits a year or two.
Okay, but think about what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because it's going to require patience from Giant fans.
Sam, listen, Deion Sanders is going to want his son to play. He's not going to want his son to sit.
No, I'm not even talking about Sanders. I'm talking about Milroe.
Yeah.
I'm talking about if you go draft Milroe at second, you're going to have this contingency of large Giant fans of like, play Milroe, play. You got to be patient with someone like him.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he can't be, but he needs to fall into a situation where he's not pushed or rushed. This is why, again, I say that we need to be single, and by not taking a quarterback at 3, if you take one in the second round and put it out there, this guy is not playing right away.
Yeah.
Then we're still single. You know what I'm saying? But if you draft one at 3, that was the problem with Daniel.
Yeah.
Because you drafted him at 6, and you made it so that all Giant fans was like, okay, well, he's got to contribute because he drafted him at 6.
Yeah.
So there's this crazy pressure. The fan base if you draft somebody in the 4th round, you don't expect nothing from them.
Kyle McCord, baby. I'm biased. I'm from Syracuse.
I'm just saying, like, if you draft a quarterback in the 4th round, you don't expect anything.
Yeah.
So that's the problem is expectations ruin players.
Also,
you expect them to play like a 3rd overall pick.
Can I tell you something that Giants fans may not know that I know? Kyle McCord is training with Phil Simms and his sons.
I think Kyle McCord is an interesting prospect.
Don't be surprised if we get Kyle McCord like in either the compensation pick in the 3rd round or the 4th round. He's been training with people tied to the Giants. Don't be surprised. And Syracuse is right in our backyard from MetLife Stadium, only 3-4 hours away. You're trying to tell me they're not looking at Kyle McCord? I promise you right now. I promise you they are. I promise you that. So don't be surprised if Kyle McCord gets taken in the mid rounds. And keep in mind, Kyle McCord beat Cam Ward. Syracuse beat Miami, and it wasn't like it was a shootout. Kyle McCord beat Cam Ward in a shootout, 44-42, last season. So
let me also say that I'm done with Tommy DeVito. I'm ready for that to be over.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to me, I'm okay.
I still love him. Yeah, I've met him before.
I mean, he's probably a great guy, but I don't want to see him play anymore. Like I am for drafting somebody, letting them sit and develop with 2 veteran quarterbacks. And look, let's go try to win 8-9 games next year. You know, and try to have a positive season instead of such a negative season. Now,
Also, in defense of Russell Wilson as our QB, who I still think has some left in the tank, he's signing a 1-year deal. He may be motivated to get another deal, whether if it's New York or someplace else. The other thing too is, think about this: if we get Abdul Carter, and our defense can be what I think it can be, just think Russell Wilson gets to work with short field position. If the defense is doing its thing, Russell Wilson won't have to do much to score. If the defense is doing what I think it could do with Abdul Carter, like that gives Russell Wilson opportunities to score or run the ball. So I'm saying, like, I really think Abdul Carter fixes a lot of problems, not just on defense, but on the offense too, because the offense can work with short field, which is something we haven't had in a while.
Well, we're less than 2 weeks away.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm beginning to feel like, wow, maybe I'm not against getting Jalen Monroe. I'll be happy if he sits and trains for a while, and I'll be ecstatic if we get Kyle McCord, because I promise you, he's an upgrade over Tommy DeVito. Let me just get that out there right now. He's a huge upgrade from DeVito, and DeVito played pretty good in Syracuse. Kyle McCord set records for Syracuse, set records in the ACC. I'm surprised that not more teams are looking.
5,000 yards last year.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, like, I'll be ecstatic as a Syracuse fan, as a Syracuse native. Well, he came from Ohio, but still, but he's a New Jersey guy, but he played in Ohio State, transferred to Syracuse. But I'll be ecstatic as a Syracuse and Giants fan if he comes to the Giants. I'll be ecstatic.
What's crazy is if he would have thrown for 3,500 yards at Ohio State and had the same, like, he would be talked about as a high draft pick. But because he threw 5,000 yards at Syracuse, no one really talks about him.
Yeah, but he beat Cam Ward, and that's what I'm trying. People don't know.
100%.
So, I and like I said, I can confirm that he's training with Phil Simms and his sons at their private QB training stuff. So, I think the Giants are looking at him, and I think they could. Don't be surprised if we draft 2 quarterbacks. If we got extra picks this year. So, I'm just saying, like, don't be surprised. I also wouldn't be entirely shocked, and I'm not wishing this, but I wouldn't be shocked if Jameis Winston doesn't make it out of training camp.
What, do you think he's going to get hurt?
No, I'm saying, like, what if, like, the Giants say, we'll cut ties with him. I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh,
but
I don't know about that.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm just putting it out there. But I think we can roll with Russ, Winston, and possibly Monroe or Kyle McCord as a training prospect.
Sure, absolutely.
Anyway, that's just Bob. Anyway, bottom line, Abdul Carter's the guy at 3 for me, and I won't be too upset if we get Travis Hunter. It's just here's the one thing that
you like what you like. I get that.
Okay, shout out to our friend Big Pat Sports Talk. He's been on NerdCage before, but he put out an interesting point about Travis Hunter. And this is not against Travis Hunter. It's just our history. Every cornerback we've drafted in the first round have not panned out, and the Giants are looking at Travis Hunter as a corner, not a receiver. So in my gut, tell me
True to that, yeah.
I can't trust the Giants to I'm not saying now. I still have hope for Banks, but I'm just saying that I feel like the Giants have missed more than they've hit when it comes to first round corners, and that worries me a little bit. And that's what Big Pat pointed out.
I feel like Travis Hunter's a unicorn though.
Yeah, I think what they do. I think if the Giants were to draft him, I don't think they will. Just for the record, I don't think we will. But if we were, I think he plays corner, and they'll do what they did with. Remember when J.J. Watt was in Houston, and he was playing DN, but in red zone situations, he'd play tight end in like red zone situations. I think that's gonna be the same with Travis Hunter. He'll play corner, but in red zone or like 20-yard line.
Well,
they'll use him as a wide receiver.
We have some history. Like Jason Sehorn was a great.
I love Jason Sehorn.
I mean, Jason Sehorn, but then if you remember, Jason Sehorn wanted to return punts, and Fossil led him, and he got hurt.
Yeah.
And he was never the same
Yeah.
after he got hurt returning punts. And so, there was some arguments there of like, well, we should have never let him return punts in the first place. You should just let him stay a quarterback. So we have some history of guys, quote unquote, kind of being two-way players, and that actually not going in our favor.
Yeah. I just think the temperature in the room tells me that Travis Hunter isn't the guy, and if anything, I think he goes to Cleveland. But I still think Cleveland is in dire need of a quarterback, and I wouldn't be surprised. Sure. Sanders goes to Cleveland, and it's gonna be ugly because I think Deion doesn't want his son going there.
Well, I mean, in less than 2 weeks, we will have some answers.
But what does your gut tell you at 3? What is your gut?
I think right now, based on the information that I'm hearing, I think it's going to be Carter.
So do I. And that's who I want.
I think it's going to be Carter. I do.
All right. Oh my God, I've definitely kept you here longer than planned. Can I keep you for like another 15 minutes?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So now that we got draft talk all the way, and this and that, I'm hoping. By the way, let me just bring this up right now to everybody. There will be no NerdCage live stream the week of the draft. I'm hoping I'll be live with Fisk during the draft. We'll see. I don't know. But I already texted Fisk. I'm like, Fisk, let's go. Let's do the draft live together because you want Shador. I want Carter. I think that will make good content. But anyway, throwing that out there. But I want to shift over to gaming and entertainment and stuff. So at the beginning of the show, and this is going to be the last time I talk about this on NerdCage Live, but recently we lost 2 icons that meant a lot to me. Big George Foreman passed away recently, and then we just lost Val Kilmer. So I want to get your take. Big George Foreman, I think it's just funny because now people are kind of reevaluating Foreman's career again now that he passed away. I think Foreman, as a collective, I think he was the second greatest heavyweight of all time next to Ali. And not to mention all the stuff he'd done for pop culture, like Meineke, the George Foreman grill, George Foreman's KO boxing on Super Nintendo, George Foreman, his presence was so prominent, not just in sports, but in pop culture. And then Val Kilmer. Now, granted, we all knew he had health problems. I was so happy to see him. It was a miracle we saw him in Top Gun Maverick. I knew that was it for him. But talk about one hell of a run from Top Gun 1, Willow, and then like Tombstone, The Doors, Batman Forever. Like from like the mid-'80s to like the mid to late 90s. That was one hell of a run that Val Kilmer had. So I just want to flip it to you, man. George Foreman, Val Kilmer, what do they mean to you?
Well, George Foreman, I'll start with him. The Thriller in Manila is probably, I mean, you could argue in history is probably the most talked about, if not the greatest fight of all time. I mean, that's a fight that the hell they made a damn movie about it. Ali. So I mean that's.
And George Foreman got his movie too.
Yeah, and George Foreman, but we all would love to be Ali in that situation, right? Because he's the victor, his story, but somebody has to be George Foreman, and there's a lot of lessons to be learned from that fight, and just the fact that he was part of that moment in time and put on that just amazing fight for not only that current generation but generations to follow to watch it.
Yeah,
like what an awesome moment in time, and what an awesome moment just on earth, right? I mean, just do something that special, and for the world to just, I mean, I can obviously I wasn't alive, but I'd have to think that the world was damn near shut down during that fight, and then to watch all the highlights and everything with it. I mean, what an awesome thing that he got to be a part of. And it is unfortunate that he ended up losing that fight, but it was such a spectacle and great fight that it's a great. To me, there's no losers, right? Because it's just such a special thing.
But Pizzle, get this: he finished 76-5 with 68 knockouts.
the fact that he came back at the age of 45, and I haven't reached at the age of 45 yet, but
Yeah.
I cannot even imagine being 45 years old and coming back and winning the heavyweight title of the world. Like, that is just so badass. Like,
Yeah.
it is just, it's amazing. Like, he is, I mean, yeah, it's like I mean, obviously as a young man, he was a freak of nature.
Yeah.
You know, got absolute respect for Muhammad Ali, who arguably is the greatest of all time. I mean, George was the man. There's no question about it. So yeah, no, he has submitted himself as a boxing legend, and just overall like a really good person. Like,
Yeah, I love
like
him.
Really, like I love Mike Tyson, right? But there's some moments in time where it's like, man, I don't know if I should like Mike Tyson, you know? 'Cause
Yeah.
he's kind of crazy, like. But George Foreman, you know, he found the Lord, and you know, he's just a great. Just seems like a great, awesome person. So that's what's cool about what I think about. You know, when I think about George Foreman, Val Kilmer is another thing. There's a lot of layers in there for me. First of all, Top Gun is arguably my favorite movie. I mean, I named my son Maverick, for crying out loud.
Oh, that's amazing. I didn't know that.
So yeah, I named my son Maverick. I can, this can never get out on YouTube, but people don't know this, but when I was from elementary school, and I'm talking from kindergarten all the way till 9th grade in high school, I wore a flat top, just like Val Kilmer did. And in the movie, I'm not kidding. I had blonde. It was blonde. I dyed it blonde. I'm not kidding.
Did you play volleyball too?
I would have played volleyball. I had a flat top spike hair from kindergarten all the way till 9th grade high school, and so I loved Top Gun. Val Kilmer. First of all, he was amazing in Tombstone. Doc Holliday. I mean, some legendary quotes in that movie. But as Iceman, that's where I connected with him, and you know, I'm like you. I loved seeing him in the Top Gun Maverick. I loved seeing him in that. I think a lot. Top Gun is another movie that really shaped. That movie in itself shaped me. And I didn't go into the Air Force or the Navy or anything like that. But if you look at that movie, there's a lot of trash talking in it.
Yeah.
And that's something that I love to do, is trash talk. And so, you know, there's two O's in use. You know, like when he's talking, the alternates is in the ladies' room. You know, and so there's a lot of moments in that movie that you can really laugh at, and there's just trash talking moments. And so that movie really shaped me and guided me in my youth. And I love Val Kilmer for that. You know, being able to use that talent, because again, it takes courage to say, hey, I want to be an actor and put myself out there, you know. And you know, I'm very thankful for him to do that and to have that talent, right? If you have that talent and you waste it and nobody ever sees it, well, then you don't get to experience it, you know. Like, think about that. Think about if Val Kilmer had this amazing talent, but he wasted it by doing something that he shouldn't have been doing.
Yeah.
And then we don't get to see Doc Holliday. We don't get to see Iceman. And so I'm thankful that he got to a certain point in his life where he could be able to take on those roles.
Yeah.
And do those and give it to the world and bless the world with that talent. And so, man, I absolutely loved Iceman and Maverick and all this. And so now when he was in the second movie, or this Top Gun, I just was.
I knew it was it for him. I knew that was it.
I was emotional watching that movie, and I don't really get that. Like I don't really get that way watching movies anymore.
Yeah.
But that movie really messed me up a little bit, because you know it just took me back to a different time period in my life, and man, I absolutely love Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer will always be one of my favorites as long as I live, and so it's really sad that he's gone. It's really sad what he was going through.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised when I read the news. Like, I was like, oh man, like the man was suffering for more than a decade, and like I said, when I saw Top Gun Maverick in theaters in 4DX nonetheless, and I'm watching with Joe, who's in the chat by the way, my partner in NerdCage. I almost cried because I'm like, Joe, you realize that the man really is ill, and he still did this role briefly, and it was effective. And then when they I walked out of the movie theater and I thought, and I never said it out loud, but I'm like, that's it for Val Kilmer. Like, we're not going to see him on screen again, and I was right. That was it. So I'm glad, but it was a miracle, and I'm glad we got that.
Yes, 1,000%. And I'm, I kind of was. I understand that it sucks that it took so long to get Top Gun, Maverick made.
Yeah.
But thank goodness it got made, and thank goodness we got that moment.
Yeah.
That experience. So, I love Val Kilmer. God rest his soul. I'm so thankful that he lived on this earth and was able to do what he was able to do. Both of those guys, it's just Val, it's rare that, I know there's a lot of great actors out there that have multiple roles. It's hard for me to, so everybody gets pinned on one role that for me, it's like, I loved him as Iceman, but I really loved him as Doc Holliday too.
Yeah.
So it's really, he was good in Heat too. He was good in Heat.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang's another one. Like I said, from the mid 80s to the mid 90s, that was a hell of a run. Jim Morrison, I was just reading the other day that the surviving members of the Doors were just so impressed with Val's ability to sing like Jim Morrison. I'm not a Doors guy, but I'm just saying, it's just, I've read that, I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Val was a great talent, and it's, it's sad that he's gone.
And I hope people reevaluate his time as Batman, because that wasn't a good movie, but I thought he was good as Batman. And the thing is, he's coming off of Michael Keaton. He's coming off of Michael Keaton, which is arguably the GOAT. So to follow Michael Keaton's a very daunting task for anybody. And the more I watch Batman Forever, the more I'm just like, you know what? Val was good. Val was good.
I thought he was good. And that Nicole Kidman was in that with him, wasn't she?
That was my introduction to Nicole Kidman.
I'm gonna tell you what, that's the hottest I think she ever was.
Yeah.
She was hot. She was really hot in that one.
Absolutely.
I thought he was okay. Yeah, I thought he was fine in Batman.
Yes.
I thought he was fine.
All right, so I figure we can wrap it up this way. So Pizzle, this is general stuff that we kind of do here at NerdCage Live. In any order, man, can you write off your top 5 favorite movies and your top 5 favorite video games and some of your favorite, love to hear it, because we don't get to hear this from you because you're so big in your Giants YouTube. We don't get to hear this side of you, so I'm giving you this opportunity on NerdCage.
I don't know if you're gonna like my movies.
No, let's go. I love hearing this stuff. The floor is yours.
Top Gun is definitely on there.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know if they don't have to be in order, do they?
No. Okay, just rattle them off.
Top 5 for sure. Top Gun. Days of Thunder.
Okay.
Days of Thunder, which is almost like Top Gun, except it's racing instead. Still Tom Cruise.
Hey, Tom Cruise from Syracuse, by the way, in case you didn't know.
I will say Rocky 4.
Okay, all right.
I'll say Rocky 4, but really, I mean, I've anything 1 through 4 is, I'm really on board with, but I'll say Rocky 4.
Okay.
Over the Top.
We just watched that on our charity stream.
Over the Top, which is obviously a Sylvester Stallone arm wrestle. I love Over the Top. Over the Top is Over the Top is a movie that I genuinely really, really love. I think it's a classic 80s style movie.
Oh yeah.
For arm wrestling tournament for a truck, like it just doesn't even make sense, but like it's so good, It's a good father-son movie too.
Yeah, it is.
It's a really good father. So I'm a big Stallone guy, obviously. And then one more, if I had to go one more. Man, this is tough. I can't. I'd have to really.
I was waiting for you to say Little Giants. I was waiting for it.
I do really like Little Giants. I do really like. I just watched that. I just showed that to my kids for the first time.
Yeah.
Probably about a month ago. Man, I have to really think about that for a second.
I just love that.
I'm going to say this, and I think it's cheesy for me to say this.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Armageddon.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to say Armageddon. I really liked Armageddon.
Man, I love Bruce Willis, man.
And I love Bruce Willis. I love the soundtrack. I love the cast in that. My daughter is named Grace because that girl's name was Grace.
Yeah.
So that's where I really fell in love with the name Gracie. So I would say that probably Armageddon would be up there too. So that would be it.
I love those picks, man. Rocky's my #1 movie of all time, so I'm glad you had a Rocky movie in there.
I'm definitely a Rocky guy. I'm a Rocky person. And I really, really, really probably Apollo Creed is probably damn near my favorite character.
Oh, Carl Weathers was so great.
I love Carl Weathers. Yes, I loved him. Loved him to death.
Yeah, it's another one. It's just it's sad because we lost. We lost Polly, we lost Apollo. It's just like it hurts. Like, oh man, there's only so many of them left now.
Well, I mean, but you just looking at my list there, like the day we lose like Tom Cruise and Sylvester Stallone will be bad days for me.
Yeah.
Because they were really vital to just.
Bro, I cannot wait for Final Reckoning next month. Yeah. Mission Impossible for Final Reckoning. I can't wait.
I know that he's got a bad rap because of the Scientology stuff, but I love Tom Cruise.
I don't care. He's from our town. I root for him no matter what.
I think Tom Cruise is a true movie star.
He's the hardest working actor. You cannot take his work ethic. He's got the best work ethic in Hollywood, and the fact that he's doing all these crazy stunts in his 60s. My only complaint, and I'll say it again. I've said this on one of my other streams, but
there's a lot of movies that he's in.
Yeah.
That they have giants. There's like giants representation in it. Like I love Cocktails.
Yeah.
I love The Color of Money. Like if you in a Cocktails movie, he has one of his apartments when he's living there. He actually has a giant's pendant.
I have to watch it again. It's been so long.
I think it's like in his kitchen. I think if I remember. Yeah. So he has a giant's pendant. I want to say there was one that he was wearing I think he was wearing a giant. I'd have to think about it for a second, but I love The Color of Money, which is a pool movie with Paul Newman.
Yeah.
That would be like number 6 on my list right there. I mean, that's a real close one too. Color of Money is one that I really, really like. But yeah, man, I'm a big Tom. I mean, that early phase, like that early '90s, boy, he went on a roll like Rain Man, Cocktail, Top Gun, Days of Thunder. Like, I mean, he went on a crazy run of great movies during that time period.
A Few Good Men.
Few Good Men, yep.
And then Mission Impossible came along, and that just changed everything. But my only gripe with Tom Cruise, and Tom Cruise by the 0.000 chance you're watching this, Tom Cruise. Listen, if I'm you, Tom Cruise, stop wearing makeup, stop coloring your hair, let the grays fly, let your scrotum hang, let the wrinkles flop in the wind. Bro, you're kicking so much ass at the age of 62. Keep doing it, man. Don't be ashamed to hide. Don't hide your age, man. Let your age show, man. Show that you're kicking ass at your age, man. Stop trying to pretend to be young. That's my only gripe. That's my only gripe with Tom Cruise. Is just let your scrotum hang low.
That's what Paul Newman did. Paul Newman let his age start to show with gray hair, and like he looked badass the older he got. Like, to me, I love Paul Newman.
That's my only gripe. Tom, we accept you, Tom. You're one of us. We accept you.
And what was the other list?
Oh, games, man. I want to know what. I know you mentioned Madden earlier, but some of your favorite video games, and it can be video game series. You don't have to. So I'll give you room to play with. So favorite game series.
Man, I'll just list some games that I played during a period. So like I go back all the way to Nintendo. I loved RBI Baseball.
Yep, I remember that.
That was a game that I played a lot. I've played Madden since 1992, from Madden 92, Sega Genesis, all the way till now. I've been a Madden supporter from forever, so I've definitely always supported Madden. I've mostly all I've really liked is sports games. I love MLB The Show. I've always supported MLB The Show. As far
Which
as
has turned into like an RPG now.
Yeah, it is. It is. Which is kind of weird. But shooter, like I've obviously the GTA series. I'm waiting on the new one to come out.
Oh yeah.
I argue that I think the world is going to shut down the day the new one comes out. So I've always been a GTA fan. I played, as far as shooting game, I played SOCOM.
Yes, U.S. Navy SEALs. Yep.
Yep, I played the old SOCOM games. I never really got into Call of Duty. I never got into those. I never got into Halo or anything like that. But SOCOM was one that I got into real. You know, that was my first like real online gaming shooting guys experience. I played the 007 on the N64.
GoldenEye, let's go.
Yeah, I played that a shit ton. But really, man, I played a lot of racing games. But Madden was one that really I've played. Man, I've played so many Madden games. I can't even. It's got to be somewhere. It's got to be almost ridiculous numbers of how many times I've played Madden games. I would argue
my all-time favorite sports game is NFL Blitz.
I don't. I guess my favorite. It's hard for me to say what is my favorite sports game. I loved MVP Baseball 05. I thought that was a good one. I loved Madden 05, Madden 06. Those were some of my favorite Maddens.
Yeah, that was Sean Alexander, right? Was on the cover.
Yeah, there was Ray Lewis. There was Sean Alexander. Yes.
Yeah.
I've played, the basketball games. I did a little bit of live, and then of course I did the 2K stuff. I just have always been a Madden person. And tried to be competitive playing Madden. Going to tournaments, going to things like that.
Oh, cool, nice.
Things. So yeah, I've had a good, but to me, man, like it was always fun to have buddies that you played with. What's funny is like when you played with people online, whether it was like a shooting game, or a football game, and you'd make friends with these people, and you didn't even know who they were. They tell you where you were from, but like you didn't really know. And then like all of a sudden one day you just quit playing with them, and you have no idea where they are in the world now. And it's just crazy how like you lived and died with people for hours playing games online, and then all of a sudden one day they were just gone. They didn't even they were all of a sudden out of the picture, out of your life. And so it's weird how you play shooting games or football games or whatever you play, and then all of a sudden like you just wouldn't see them anymore. And so gaming has always been a part of my life, I can honestly say. I had Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, Sega Saturn.
I remember Saturn.
Which Dreamcast. I don't think the Dreamcast gets enough love.
Yeah. I love the Dreamcast.
I think the Dreamcast deserves a lot more love than it gets. Then I became a PlayStation guy. PlayStation 1. I never was an Xbox guy. I got to PlayStation. One thing I loved about PlayStation was when they first got online, it was free.
Yeah.
Like you could, you had the network adapter, you plugged it in, and it's crazy to think we're old enough now. Like kids today, they don't think anything of it.
Yeah, they were born into it.
Yeah, they were born into it, but like getting online for the first time, and of course the first time was dial-up.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy to think like how we would play video games with only our friends, and then all of a sudden we jumped online and we're just playing strangers, and now it's just normal. Like, it's no big deal. Like, everybody does it. But it was crazy that you would take your game online and you find out how good you are. You know, oh man, I'm really good, or maybe I'm not that good at all. You know, and so that's crazy thinking about that time period. But it was it's funny how we didn't used to have that at one time.
I know.
Crazy. It's crazy how, like,
I mean, we grew up from the beginning, like Nintendo and Atari, and it's
crazy.
It's insane that we got to experience that.
It's crazy that we experienced a time period where there was no online gaming.
Yeah, and now it's like you said, it's the norm. Now let me ask you this: this is hot topic right now among the NerdCage community. Will Copizzle be picking up a Nintendo Switch 2 at release, or is Nintendo like not even on your radar?
My kids have a Nintendo Switch. And actually, I didn't really think like it was like that I would have any interest in it. Like, I thought it was just something kids would. But I actually like the Switch. It's actually,
and now they just announced that EA games and 2K games, Madden, and all that is coming to the Switch.
It's a possibility. Like, I could possibly entertain it. You know, I'm at the stage where, you know, I'm a PS5 guy.
Yeah.
And so I play my PS5. And, you know, I don't play video games as much as I'd like to, having kids and kind of.
I get it. I was gonna say, I know you're a family man.
If my kids get into gaming, like, they have a dad that will go all the way with them. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I am not I don't want my kids gaming 24/7, but I will never be a dad that says, "Oh, gaming is stupid." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I am open to gaming and having fun. And doing it. Like, I never thought that people would even make money gaming, like streaming. Like, you know, I never would have thought that was even a possibility for people, but that is a reality now. People enjoy. I'm going to tell you this, and this is going to be awful. So, people are going to think I'm a degenerate on this, but I'll tell this story. And I actually thought this was really fun. When COVID happened, I'm like any other guy. I like to bet on the games. I like to bet. You know, I like to bet on football games, and, you know, sometimes I do good, sometimes I do bad. When COVID happened, sports was completely eliminated. You know, there was no sports on TV for a period of time, right? Before this was, you know, you got to think this happened in COVID shut the world down like March, April. So the NFL season still had some time to go. And, of course, by the time NFL season got here, we were playing games, but nobody was in the crowd, right? So there took some time. Well, during that summer, there was still very limited on games. And so what the sports books did, these offshore sports books, they started having Madden games and putting them on Twitch. So they would have, you know, Seahawks versus Browns, and they would set a line. And so and they wouldn't let you bet that much, but I would bet money on these games. So it was like computer versus computer. And it was and like, I wasn't betting like hardly any money, but it was just fun to bet a few bucks on a game, on a Madden game, computer versus computer, and just watch it, you know? And so I've even went that far with it, where it's like I've bet on computer versus computer games and just had some fun watching. That's how bad it was during that time period. Was like I was betting on virtual football games just to pass the time away. You know,
that is awesome.
So, but now it's like you see people playing games and making money all the time. You know, whether it's on Twitch, whather it's on YouTube or whatnot.
Or tournaments,
Tournaments, yeah. Like everybody's like, I wish the younger generation that's, you know, I'm talking about like 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old guys. I wish they knew how lucky they are.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm pushing 40 now. And so it's hard for me to compete in anything like that, because there's so many other responsibilities, and in order to be great at something like that, you have to play nonstop.
Yeah, focus.
Nonstop.
Yeah,
you have to really focus. And those young guys, like, the opportunities of us making money during that time was like you had to go places to go play in tournaments, cash
Yep.
tournaments,
Evo and all that. Yeah.
I remember going to a Madden tournament and putting down $100 to try to win $1,000, you know, things like that. Like I remember playing in those like face-to-face tournaments and things like that. But not just the EA Sports challenges, but like actual other Madden tournaments around the city and stuff like that.
Yeah, we have them here in Syracuse too. Yeah.
I went to some really rough neighborhoods to try to make some money playing Madden. But like now it's like nothing for them to go online and make money if they wanted to, you know. And so that's really I wish the younger generation realized how lucky they are in that regard, that they get to now benefit from this time period of where everything's now been set up for them, and all they have to do is just go succeed and go have fun. You know? I mean, think about Call of Duty tournaments and things like that people play. You know, it's like
Super Smash Brothers, another one.
We had nothing like that, you know, 20 years ago. Nothing
Yeah.
like that. So it's crazy. Like, I mean, I think it's great to see. I really do.
No,
Especially
I'm
when
with you
you get
there.
like a group, you get like a group of buddies together, and you're part of a team, or you're part of something, and you guys.
Yeah, hey, if one of us wins, we'll split the money.
Yeah, I mean, like I think it's awesome. I think it's great.
Oh man, yeah. Well, Pizzle, it's been a fucking awesome ride tonight. I definitely kept you here longer than planned here, so here's what we'll do. First and foremost, I've had a blast with you, so Pizzle, I asked you this question. I asked this to everybody. Sometime, would you like to come back on NerdCage Live? We'll chop it up again, and we'd love to have you back.
Let's do it sometime before the season starts.
All right, sounds good to me. And I mean, not to put you on the spot, but you know, I love your content. I hope if the stars align, I hope The Outsiders comes back. I'm just speaking it into existence. I hope the stars align sometime. That was great content right there. But no matter what, I cannot. Either way, when the Giant season starts, I feel a little bit. I'm not feeling great. I'm feeling good going into this. I feel like at least we won't be embarrassed anymore. So I'm looking forward to seeing everybody's content when we're playing respectable football. Maybe we beat a couple playoff teams. Who knows? I feel like I'm no longer dreading the season, especially if the draft goes the way I think it's gonna go. Because I love what the off seasons, the acquisitions we got this off season. So I look forward to Giant season and Giants content season as well.
I think for me, it will be what it will be in the draft, and try to keep the expectations low.
Yeah.
Try to have fun with it.
All right, Pizzle.
Hopefully we got a good season ahead of us.
Yes. So I'm gonna give you the floor real quick. Tell everybody where they can find you and any content you want to promote, man.
Yeah, you can just find me on. You can go to Twitter and find me Copizzle, Copizzle, and the same thing on YouTube. I have a much better thing going on here on YouTube. I do, my bread and butter are post-game videos. So after the game, I just give my thoughts on the game, good or bad, and then I obviously try to make weekly content during the season, and then the off season, I just make these little spot up. Content videos when something interests me to make them, and we have a lot of fun, man. I get a lot of people that watch the channel, and we interact and go on places like this. For example, tonight we go on other people's channels and mix it up, and we bring some people on our channel sometimes, and so just have a good time talking about what I think is the greatest franchise to ever exist in the world. And so
yes.
I love supporting the Giants, and I just do the best I can, and anybody that wants to come hang out and watch us, that I much appreciate it.
Absolutely, you heard the man. So hey, the links are in the description, everybody. Right, if you're watching on YouTube or listening to this on podcast platforms, be sure to subscribe and follow Copizzle. Real quick, everybody, please check out my interview with Bill Murray and Naomi Watts over on Joe Blow Celebrity Access as we talk about the movie The Friend. Check that out. Joe and I will be on Twitch Tuesday for Shenmue and Wednesday for Silent Hill 2. Check out our Knuckles G Fuel Food review. I got a couple rapid film reviews out there. And of course, Joe and I will be going to Pennsylvania this weekend at the Timeline Arcade for the Mortal Kombat 30th anniversary panel. So if you're out there in York, Pennsylvania, come say hello to the guys at NerdCage. We're looking forward to that event. And of course, get yourself a NerdCage Live t-shirt. Again, any size, any color, whether you're skinny, booty call, or a fat fuck. Big or small, we love them all. We go from small all the way to 5XL. We also got hoodies, magnets, tote bags, pillows, you name it. The link to our TeePublic is in the description of this live stream. Every video and across the vast lands of social media where you can find us at nerd_cage on Instagram and Twitter. Also, our Facebook discussion group, NerdCage Nation, link in the description, as well as our Discord server. We'd love to see you there. Come hang out with us. Just keep it civil. Don't be at each other's throats. And yes, we appreciate it. Until then, we please ask you to like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell. Spread that shit like syphilis. The USA from yours truly, the land of the orange up Syracuse, New York, to all our friends and fans around the world at NerdCage Live and Copizzle. As always, enjoy life, stay safe, eat your vegetables, do your push-ups, go to the gym. Good night, God bless, and have the best day of your life, and let's go New York Giants. Oof, oof. Good night, people.
NerdCage Live and gaming are a perfect match.
Shoot the J, Joe. Okay. Shoot it!
All right.
Over on NerdCage Live on Twitch, Jay and Joe go live.
Call me Bazooka Joe. It's all about you.
Kaboom! Playing both old school and new school games every Tuesday night. Ooh, what a sight!
Jay, stop looking at her.
But she's so beautiful.
So be sure to follow NerdCage Live on Twitch.
Run for your life, Joe. Run for your life, Joe.
Running.
Run faster. Oh no, Joe. The galaxy's doomed because of you.
To scratch your gaming itch.
Oh, nice kick, Joe.
Thank you.
Yo, that's diabolical. Wait. Yo!
That's twitch.tv/NerdCage Live.
Ooh, trying to get out of the NerdCage, are ya? Well, before you go, hit that subscribe button. And if you're really intrigued, ring that bell. Thank you for dropping by. Until next time, tell everyone you know about NerdCage Live!